spun his game with the white pieces. He has white once more. Let's see what he does. Arjun with white opens with pawn to e4. And it's a choice, whether to go for e4 or d4 against Vidit. And he decides pawn to e4. And Vidit usually likes to play e5, and that's what he does. Because e5 is one of the most solid lines out there. Very, very solid weapon. Knight comes out to f3, attacking the pawn on e5. And we have knight to c6, defending the pawn. White plays bishop to c4. The Italian is on the board. And let's see what Vidit plays. He's a big expert in the Italian, especially with the black pieces. He has so many games here. c3 with the idea of pushing d4. So knight comes out to f6, attacking the pawn in the center. We have pawn to d3, defending the pawn. And now d6, opening up the bishop. It's a very standard way to play. And Arjun continues with castling. Both the players are so well versed, they know how to meet specific moves. For example, Vidit could play h6, but he knows that bishop g5, how to deal with it. And so he castles here, which is a good move. And generally, you play ideas like rook e1, h3, knight d2, and so on. So he goes rook e1, a good move, with the idea of pawn to d4. We have bishop dropping back to b6. And now pawn to h3 to prevent the knight from coming to g4 and the bishop as well. Pawn to h6, a useful move played there by Vidit. And now knight to d2. Usually, knight e7 is such a typical idea. You bring your knight to g6. You also prepare pawn to c6. a4 played. And now there's a6, a5, c6. Vidit goes pawn to a5, equalizing the space on the queen side. And Arjun puts his bishop back on a2. You can see the time on the screen. It's 1 hour 30 minutes for Arjun. So he is in his preparation. Meanwhile, Vidit has played this position before. He has played it against Wesley So at the Tata Steel Chess India in Kolkata. Queen to c2. This is a new move perhaps. In the other game with Wesley, the game went d4 and knight g6. Queen c2, knight to g6, and the ideas remain same. d4. Now careful, because queen is looking here. The bishop pins this pawn. So there could be tactics. Knight h5 looks like an interesting move trying to come to f4, but Vidit goes very solid with rook e8. He defends this pawn, and rook e8 often brings the idea of bishop e6. Now knight to f1. So the queen and the rook defend here. Knight is ready to jump to g3. He goes bishop e6. Happy to trade this powerful bishop. And Arjun takes. He's still in his preparation. That's just insane prep by Arjun. Move number 15 already. Vidit takes. Rook takes e6. And maybe now knight to g3 is the logical plan to go ahead. Yes, knight to g3 on the board. Vidit now has to think what to do. He takes his time, close to 20 minutes, and plays queen to c7. To bring the rook, and look at Arjun there. Bishop d2. He's prepared here as well. And the idea of bishop d2 to connect the rooks. Vidit brings his rook to e8. Trying to put pressure on the e4 pawn down to 41 minutes. Arjun plays this also very quickly. Rook a d1. Wow. Insane. And now will Vidit play d5? It's an equalizer, but he should know all the tricks and what's happening. It's not so easy to be aware. Let's say, for example, d5, de, and all of these calculations are complicated. And he finds it. d5. He plays it with 29 minutes on the clock. If Arjun replies quickly, that would really put pressure on Vidit, and he does it. He's still in his preparation because knight e5, there is knight d4 attacking the rook. So he here plays d takes e4. Okay, if you take here, I have here, and black is better. So clearly you have to take on e4. And now knight e5. Wow, taken here. The point being, if knight f6, there's rook f6. Enough protection. Again, he responds quickly, goes knight d4. And Vidit down to 26 minutes. Knight takes e4, taken. And very nice move by Vidit, because if knight e6, there's knight f3 check with queen coming in, and game over. What a beautiful tactic spotted. So Arjun knows his stuff. He takes rook e4. Bishop takes d4 by Vidit Gujrathi. Takes here. It's move 23, and Arjun at 132. Oh my goodness me. Man, Arjun Erigaisi has solved chess. Knight g6 played. Maybe if he's still in his prep, he'll takes it super quick. Vidit is like, what the hell am I facing here? I'm at down to 20 minutes. Arjun at 1 hour 32 minutes. Oh my goodness. 25 moves. Rook d6. D takes c6. Arjun still blitzing. What's impressive for me is that Vidit is playing against a machine and is holding his own. Rook takes c6. Queen b3. Arjun plays at 133. Move number 27. Keeps getting up. Vidit under pressure. Knight to h4. Maybe a small error. I think this is the first time that Arjun will sit down to think now. Yes, he's thinking, and Vidit gets up finally. Pawn to g3 after 6 minutes of thought. And Vidit comes back. He's like, I maybe provoked a bit of weakness here. Bishop c3. White can claim a small edge. You know, good bishop against a knight. Pawn on a5 is a weakness. Rook to c5 played. And now rook to d5. He's offering a trade of rooks. And maybe the idea is that you attack these pawns, queen takes c5, and queen d1. I'm not sure if you had to take here. Maybe queen d1 was better directly. So after takes queen d1. Queen goes to c7. Vidit down to 3 minutes. Queen to d4, threatening a mate on g7, nothing less. f6 is forced. Plays it. Good move. And now queen d5, check. Okay, you have to go king f8. I think Arjun's gotten what he wants, perhaps a small edge, putting Vidit under pressure, very little time on the clock, 4 minutes. Bishop d4, keeping an eye here. If next move I get queen b5, that would be tough. But Vidit goes knight to e5. And now if you go here, then there's knight f3 check and you lose the bishop. So h4, played by Arjun, king e7. Vidit is somehow feeling that he's coming closer to stabilizing his position, but maybe not completely. There's always threat of taking the knight, h5, fixing the pawns here. Queen e4, pinning the knight, threatening f4. We have king to f7. And now bishop takes e5. If you take with the queen, no one knows what this pawn endgame is like. And so pawn takes taken. He goes queen f5. King g8, and now queen h5 is met with queen c6 check. By the way, Vidit gets up as 40 moves are done. Queen a4. This could be a very interesting endgame here with 2 versus 1, but Arjun decides to go b3. Vidit gives a check. Queen f3 played. I mean, you could play king h2, but I guess after queen f6, there's pressure here. So he goes takes, king takes, and Vidit comes down to 8 minutes. He calculates the pawn endgame, that this is fine for him, comes king f7, and Arjun's calculating if king e4, king e6. He goes g4, trying to create an outside passer. Vidit takes, not so easy to create that. King takes g4. And g6 played. Because if you go king g5, trying to come further, I have king g7, and you can't make progress. And Arjun goes king f3, and he offers a draw. Vidit takes it. The players have agreed to a draw. What a game this is, and what a good hold by Vidit. And why don't you take the pawn, says Vidit. And look, the analysis perhaps is going around what we saw a few minutes ago, which was here queen takes h5, queen c6, queen f3, queen a4, or maybe just move the king away, perhaps king h2, queen a4, queen e5. And what Arjun maybe didn't like is queen c6, and then pushing the pawns forward. This might have been something that Arjun didn't want to go into. And you can see already the camaraderie between them the moment the game ends. It's very cool. And the king and pawn endgame, like if you look here, king f7, king e4, king e6, you want to try and wait here, but I have the move g6. And once you play g4, there's this very cool move, g5. And this is a very typical thing which you have to be very careful about. If you take here, I take here. If you take on g5, I go h4. And so here, maybe this is not able to make progress. So you go a g4, h takes, king takes. And now with it went g6. If you go king g5, I have king g7. And it looks like black is maybe running out of moves, but now king f7. King h6, and king f6. Black wins. So if you try to go from behind, I am the one whose king is more active. So getting a bit active and trying to win here is not winning. But what I loved about the entire game is this trap that Vidit had set, where after knight e4, he took knight e5, and knight d4 he took here, because knight e6, he found this on the board that there is knight f3 check. And the point is, if you take here, queen g3 leads to a mate, king h1, knight f2, otherwise queen f2. And if otherwise knight f3, king f1, then there is knight takes d2, rook takes, and even, I mean, you can take on d2 and get good position, but queen h2 is just killer blow. And you are completely winning here. So Vidit actually played a very, very good game with so much pressure being put by Arjun. He managed to find all the right moves over the board, and Arjun Erigaisi, well, he came to the board with everything that he got, but Vidit managed to hold him. What a game between these two Indians.